Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. So today we're going to be doing a full review of the SHENGKAI D97 quadcopter. This is an FPV quadcopter, and this is a review model from gearbest.com. I'll have the links in the description of where you can pick one of these up if you're interested. But anyway, as far as what we're going to be doing today is just kind of doing an out-of-the-box review, initial review, and then going to the field and doing some testing at the park, and also some in-house flight, and then coming back to the table and doing kind of a pros and cons wrap-up just to see how this thing did. So this is a 2.4 gigahertz FPV quad. This is kind of a direct kind of competitor copy to, say, the SYMA X5SW that I just reviewed last week. So this is actually looks like it might be a good option for around the same price. But what we're going to do is we're going to test this out. And so first of all, let's see what we get in the box. So the quad itself, you've got the camera mounted to the bottom here. This is how it came right out of the box. It was just sitting in the box like this. And you have your camera, which is adjustable with your finger. You can push this up and down before you take off. You have full forward facing, or you can also go completely down. And then you have your 2.4 gigahertz antenna, and where it plugs into the quad here. It looks like just off the bat, I'm looking at this is a little funky how it the actual cable plug mount is kind of loose in there, so that's a little weird. Just a minor little quabble. And just looking at the lights, it has these LED lights that are just kind of sticking out. There's not really any light covers; they're just the LED themselves, just sticking out here. Pretty much a copy of the SYMA X5C design. Anyway, what else we get in the box is the landing gear. And it looks like the landing gear basically just kind of pushes right in and snaps in. There's no screws involved for the landing gear. We also get a 600 mAh LiPo battery, which is nice. The 600 mAh, that's another 100 mAh than the one that came with the X5SW SYMA FPV quad I just reviewed, so this will give you probably more flight time out of the box. You also get this little camera or phone holder for the controller. Here's the controller that comes in the box, and it's kind of neat. They give you this little neck strap just connected right to the controller, straight out of the box, so you can have that hanging on your neck so you don't drop your controller. And then it has a little mount already mounted on top here for your phone, which you would just screw this into. The actual phone mount you screw on top of there. And the last thing in the box is the manual, and then this little pamphlet here on how to connect to the FPV. Go over that in just a second. So as far as the controller goes, real quick, you do have 4 AA's. It takes 4 AA batteries, and it's a snap shut, which is nice. Looks like it actually has a couple of extra mounting brackets on the back here. I guess you could use a different type of a phone mounting system if you wanted to, but there's nothing that connects to these in the box. And then what's curious on here on this controller is it does have this little knob here on the top right, and it seems to just be a dead knob. It doesn't seem to be doing anything. So basically in the instruction manual, you're going to be what it's saying the controls do are the left top button is going to be your rate mode. You should have 1 to 3 rate modes. We'll test that out when we do our flying. This will be your flip mode. Of course, you have your throttle on the left, and this will be your yaw here. And this one here is your yaw trim for turning left and right and trimming it if it's spinning a little too much without you having any input. And then this would be your roll and your pitch control, and your roll and pitch trims here on the bottom. And then your off and on switch. And that's about it for the controller. So the instruction manual just basically goes through all that stuff and how to control, how to reset the horizontal position, which would be your gyro and or accelerometer. You would, before flight, just put down, after you're powered on, put both sticks to the bottom right, and you should see some flashing, and it will reset the accelerometer if it's kind of flying a little skewed. Go ahead and reset that on a perfectly level surface. Oh, what else you get in the box is a little bag of goodies here. And in this bag of goodies are your prop guards. Let's open this up real quick. So you've got 4 prop guards. If you are beginning, you can go ahead and put those prop guards on to save your blades. So anyway, 4 prop guards, and unfortunately they only give you 2 props in the bag here. So I really like to see 4 props, as you've probably seen in some of my other videos, because these are kind of catered to beginner flyers and these kinds of quads, and just having 4 props is such a big help when you're starting out, so you don't have to order more props right away. But at least they give you 2. I'd like to see 4, but 2's, you know, better than nothing. And then in the bag you just have your USB charger and the screwdriver to work on your craft as well. Okay, so now getting to the wireless connection. Basically they also give you this pamphlet here, and you just need to go into your app store, download this GX UFO app, and I'm going to go through the process of connecting this right now actually. Okay, so first up we're going to put our battery in, and the battery door is pretty easy to open. You just pull back and pops the whole thing down, slip your battery in. And it's nice that they give you a switch. So you do have a switch here, so if you do stick your battery in, plug it in, the quad won't turn on right away. You do have this option to have the switch here to turn it on. So before we connect the camera, I'm going to go ahead and just clip on the landing gear real fast. And that's basically really easy. I like how they've done this. It's just like a one-way little push-in clip. You don't have to put any screws on. You just click it in. You're going to hear a snap. Push it in, snap. And these landing gear will not come off. Maybe if you do a really hard crash, you may want to check them, but they just push in and snap, so you don't have to worry about any screws. And they will pull back out. You're just going to have to tug on them a little bit, but they will pull back out. Okay, so we got that on. I'm going to go ahead and mount the FPV mount, screw it on here. You just basically screw this other piece right on the top of the mount, and they have this little thumb screw at the bottom, so you can adjust exactly how you want it facing, and then go ahead and tighten it with the thumb screw so your phone's facing you. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the phone inside here. I have a Nexus 6 Android phone. Okay, so that's mounted. I've got 4 batteries in the controller I just put in, and let's get started with the connection. So first thing you're going to want to do is turn on the quad, and then go ahead and go into your Android app store, or if you have a iPhone, go into the iPhone app store. Just going to go ahead and turn on the controller and bind the controller. You can see that we have a connection with the controller. You don't have to do that first. I'm just doing that just to have the controller on. So you download and install the GX UFO app, and next thing you're going to want to do is go into your wireless settings on your phone, and you're going to want to make sure it's connected to something like this. It says SJW1003 FPV. So something with the word FPV in it should be the one you want to connect to. Go ahead and run your GX UFO app. And the first screen, you're going to have this screen here. I'm just going to go ahead and click on play here. There we go. So we have real-time FPV coming out of the camera, or coming from the camera to the phone. And let's just do kind of a lag time test like I did with the SYMA here. So this will give you an idea of the amount of lag I'm getting in the house here with the review. Seems like it's around half a second of lag, unless you have other interference going on. Okay, so there we go. So we're connected there, and we're seeing the image on the phone. They're labeling these icons within the pamphlet, and basically this one over here is interface control. I'm not really sure what that does. I guess that just goes back out. And this one looks like it would take photos. So there you go. You get a photo snapshot sound, but it just kicked me out of the app. Not sure why it did that. Let's try and go back in. Let's try and start the camera. Okay, so you get a little indicator on the camera of it recording. We go ahead and try another photo. Alright, so apparently on my phone, the Nexus 6 I have here, it's kind of giving me a little problem when I take a photo. It's kicking me out of the app. So that may be a defect, who knows, with this phone, or it could be in general with the app. I'm not sure, but maybe you won't have the same problem with your phone. It looks like this little button here, this one should get you into your videos and pictures. What else do we have? Gravity Reaction Transform. I don't know what that is. I guess we'll test that in flight. We have these modes here. This looks like you can possibly change your rate mode from the phone. Not really sure what that's all about, because it's usually just this button here, but we'll test that also in the flying review. Here you would reverse the invert the video for whatever reason. If you wanted to, you can invert the video there, and then pressing the off. I guess some of these options are not going to be effective on this quad. This looks like maybe an overall app for maybe more advanced quads as well that have the you know, certain control. But let's go ahead and try it real quick. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on and bind it. And just for the sake of it, let's see if this even does anything. Nope. Okay. So maybe that's just a implication that's not in use for this quad. So the main things you're going to be wanting to do with this app here is taking your snapshots, turning off and on your video, viewing your video and media files. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the park. Go to the park, do some flying, do some indoor flight, get some video with a hat cam, and also I'll have some displayed on-craft video of how it looks at the park and in the house, and also some snapshots. Alright, so we're here at the park with the D97 to do some park testing and see how this thing performs. So I'm going to go ahead and connect to the FPV real quick. Okay, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and start the recording. And just for good measure, I'd recommend if you are using like a phone or a tablet for your FPV, the Bluetooth, if you have Bluetooth on, that also uses the 2.4 gigahertz band, so also disconnect that. So anyway, let's go for a flight, see how it performs. Okay, so this is in mode 1. So we have a slight variable, maybe 5 mile per hour breeze right now. Let's check out our yaw rate. So this is mode 1 yaw, and I'm hitting the left trigger. Mode 2, maybe a little bit faster. And then mode 3. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3. So they all vary slightly. So I'm going to go ahead and keep it maybe in mode 2 right now for our tests. Let's go ahead and do some flips, see how the flipping goes. Right trigger. You can actually let go of the right trigger after you press it, and then press in any direction, and it will do a flip. Okay, so flipping works fine. Let's go ahead and see how our thrust is going. So from a hover, full thrust now. Not bad. A little bit sluggish, but that's kind of expected with a camera on top. Flies nice and smooth. Of course, there's really no wind right now, so I think any quad's gonna fly pretty smooth. Gonna go ahead up to rate 3. So at full rate, it actually can almost maintain its altitude. It starts to drop a little bit. And these are fresh batteries in the controller and of course in the quad. So let's go ahead and do a range test while they're fresh and see how the FPV goes, and also how far we can take the quad. So I'm probably around 100-150 feet, and there we go. So it feels like that was about the range, maybe about 150 feet. Okay, so it seemed like it dropped out of the air when it lost connection. I'm just going to go ahead and test that real quick. I'm going to go ahead and hover and turn off the controller, and it immediately drops. Like within less than a second it drops, which is pretty good. That way it won't fly away on you. Looks like depending on which way the craft is facing, you're gonna have a little bit of a different control interruptions, probably because the antenna, the way the antenna is facing you. So there's really no wind right now, and this is about the max speed in rate 3. So while we're at it, let's go ahead and try a couple more of these buttons on the screen that I wasn't sure of. Let's see, 30%, 60%, 100%. Yeah, this button doesn't do anything. So let's see this. Yeah, so this gyro feature that uses the accelerometer in the phone also doesn't do anything. So that must be just it's just a basic program for many different crafts they're probably creating. So we'll turn those off. Okay, so like I said, just basic functions, taking pictures, video camera, and inverting the camera, and then also viewing the files within this application. It does seem SYMA smooth, to tell you the truth. There is no wind, but the proportional control, if you look at this hovering here, You can see how stable it is and how it's keeping its height pretty good with no control inputs. And the breeze is just slightly pushing it, just barely. So real smooth. So far, I'm really impressed. Oops. So far impressed with this little guy. Gonna go ahead and use up the battery here. And as far as the in the park, I was having some trouble with the Wi-Fi and interference in the control in the SYMA X5SW, and I was getting some major lag at the park, but it looks like this one really keeps its maybe half a second delay in check. Okay, looks like the battery is done now, so we'll get some timings on that in the pros and con afterthoughts. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording and hoping it saved that so I can show you guys some video. But anyway guys, pretty good, pretty impressed for the park flight. Got about, the range wasn't that great, it was maybe 150 feet until I started feeling some sluggishness. But we'll go ahead and take this back to the table, do kind of a final pros and cons afterthoughts, and see how it did. Okay, so we're back at the house, and I was just going to do some timings on the battery and also some timings without the camera, the FPV camera on. And I was messing around with the what I thought was the yaw control. In the instruction manual, it talks about this as the yaw trim. So apparently I couldn't figure out why it was slamming into the wall when I would hit the yaw. And apparently there is a headless and return to home function on this. So I thought I'd include this in this little video here. It's nighttime, so you can also see the lights a little better. And I'm just going to demonstrate the headless mode and the return to home real quick. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and click to the left, and so the clicking the left yaw seems to put it in a headless mode. So I'm spinning to the left, I'm pushing forward and back. As I'm spinning, I'm just kind of going in all directions. So it does work pretty good. It's remembering its heading for headless mode. Spinning and pulling back. Oops. Okay, so now it's starting to kind of lose its orientation. And that could also be because of the metal in the house, or I don't know what if it has a compass or what. So the headless mode kind of works, unless you spin too much. Okay, so I'm going to put the yaw button to the right. And I think return to home's way over there. Alright, so let's try that one more time. I'm going to go ahead and rebind and launch again. And try the headless before, or try the return to home before I spin it too much. So this feature would, basically be for a beginner flyer anyway. That's, just if you're beginning, you want to just have the front facing away from you anyway. So if you're not turning it, it doesn't seem like it's going to throw off its heading, its bearing for headless mode and return to home too much. But if you do spin, it looks like it's going to throw that off. So let's just try that again. While we're at it, just going to show you guys how to calibrate, reset the gyro and accelerometer. So both sticks down to the right. There we go. So it's a little finicky. See how you have to like get it right in the perfect spot, or else it tries to turn the motors. All right, so let's launch and try the return to home real quick. You may have witnessed a motor failure on the D97. Yep. Wow. Okay. So motor failure. I've had about, this is going to be the 6th flight. And that is a motor failure. Good way to test if a motor is failing or weak is to hold it, give it some throttle, watch your fingers, and then move it, and so it can try to level itself, and you can see which motors are weak or not working. So as you can notice, as I'm putting each arm down, that motor should spin up to try to pick itself back up. As you can see, that one's not working. So that's a bad motor. So that's too bad. But at least you can see kind of how it looks at night. It's got a nice kind of glowing all throughout the whole arm, and these LEDs are really bright when they face you. So anyway, it does have headless and return to home function, as long as you don't spin it too much before you use those functions, because it throws it off. So anyway guys, let's get back to the bench and do our final thoughts, pros and cons, and we'll cover everything that I tested in the park and here in the house, and we'll get our flight times and all that kind of stuff.
Hey guys, welcome back. So we're able to go ahead and do some test flights at the park and a short one in the house of the SHENGKAI D97 FPV quadcopter. So I'm just going to go over kind of some of the pros and cons now of what I thought about this. First of all, we're going to start with the throttle control. Was really good, nice and proportional. Able to give it an easy hover without going up and down too much. So that's definitely a pro. This thing was almost just about as stable as the SYMA X5C. One of the things, as you saw in the initial setup video, how there was a few extra buttons on the FPV screen there on the software. That was a little bit annoying, you know. Why have a few extra buttons if they're not going to do anything? It seemed to me like it was just kind of a all-in-one software for maybe some other drones they're working on or they have existing already that use more of a couple of linked Wi-Fi smart functions that this one didn't use. And one more thing about the FPV Wi-Fi, it seemed like it didn't want to work if it auto-connected back to the Wi-Fi on the phone. So you'd actually have to either turn off your Wi-Fi or switch your Wi-Fi to maybe your home Wi-Fi and then manually go into that. And after you turn on the quadcopter and it's ready after 5 seconds, go ahead and go into your Wi-Fi and manually click connect. As far as range goes, I did have fully charged controller batteries, and I think my battery is probably in the quad maybe about halfway used up when I did the range the range test. And I was getting about maybe 150 feet, maybe a little more depending on the angle from me, until it started to kind of drop in and out, and as I kind of turned the craft, it would have different ranges of where it would drop in and out as I turned it. And that's kind of the case with these kind of quads. The antenna is pointing a certain direction, and the way the signal kind of radiates off the antenna, if you turn it the wrong way towards you, it's going to have less radiation or more radiation, so the signal will drop in and out. When I did click on the photo function in the app to snap a photo, it would always crash the app in my Nexus 6 phone. It would take the photo and I can view the photo, but right after it took it, it would just shut down the app and go back to my home screen. So they need to work on that. They need to update the app for crashing on the Nexus 6. The actual control inputs on the pitch and roll on the controller stick, they wouldn't actually move the quadcopter until it was about halfway on its input. So say I wanted to roll left, I would actually be pushing it. It would hit about this point until it would actually start responding, and then the rest I could go to its full. And that was the same case for roll and pitch. The flip function works well on this. The top right button up here, you press it, it goes into a beeping flip mode, and then any direction you push the right stick, it'll flip in that direction one time. That worked flawlessly. The 3 rates of control, by clicking the left top stick, put them in 1, 2, and 3 rate, and I think they were all perfectly programmed. You know, the yaw got faster in each rate. The pitch and roll was at a higher angle in each rate, and I was at full throttle in the park, and I was pitching it all the way in rate 3, and it was going pretty darn fast. And it was also, I like it because I like this one how it kept its altitude while I was pitched all the way forward. In a windless environment, it was just barely dropping just a little bit, but you know, that's kind of I like that some quads, they pitch a little more, they're a little faster, but they drop really quick because the pitch is they're going too fast for how much the lift can handle, or vice versa. Some will not pitch enough, and you're all the way forward and you're still going up, where they could have made it pitch a little more, and so you could go faster while still maintaining altitude. So the FPV, one of the pros, the FPV on this was activated 5 seconds after you turn on. It seemed about 5 seconds after you turn on the craft, so that's commendable. The SYMA, the X5SW I just reviewed, it took quite a while to wait until the red light on the SYMA started to blink. It seemed like it was maybe 30 seconds almost. So this one immediately is ready after like 5 seconds. Your wireless on your phone, your Wi-Fi can see it, and you can connect to it immediately after. One of the major things, was I had a motor failure after, I think it was about the 7th flight. Now, you guys saw it on the video. I actually put it in the video I was trying to do some timing without the camera, and it just, I was trying to show you how to calibrate the accelerometer and gyro by pulling both sticks down to the right, and this motor died. So it's completely dead. You're gonna have to get a new motor. So that's definitely a big con. I did have a few house crashes, like hard crashes, because I was trying to fly only an FPV around inside the house. The original X5C, the SYMA X5C, I've flown it for about 50 flights. I let my daughter fly that thing, and it's crashed so many times, and it's got some cracks in the arms and stuff, and my goodness, I've never had a motor failure on the original SYMA X5C 1 model that I have. So being that this had a few crashes, not major, it's kind of disappointing that the motor failed. So if you are going to pick this up, I'd recommend maybe getting a set of 2 counterclockwise and 2 clockwise motors. This one that failed here is the clockwise motor. And usually I've had a couple of other crafts I've reviewed with motor failures after a couple of light crashes. And what happens is, as it spins, there's basically 2 brushes on the armature in the motor. So there's a brush like this and a brush like this. And as this motor spins, these brushes, these contacts are supplying a voltage to the center of the motor. And when you hit something, these are basically heating up, getting hot and brittle as you're flying. And when your propeller hits something, it hits it hard, and then the motor will go back real fast or kick at an angle or something. And it just takes a tiny little movement to break that little tiny miniature brittle brush that's touching the armature. And that's usually what happens. It either bends back or it breaks off, and then your motor's completely dead. So, of course, not crashing them is going to make your motors last a lot longer. You know, these things vary. The production, manufacturing quality of these types of motors varies so drastically that somebody might buy this and have 50 flights like I've had with a SYMA X5C and have no problem. So it really just depends. There's no said time a motor's going to fail. It is a good FPV beginning quadcopter. I had no problems at home or at the park with the delay time or anything with the FPV aside from a little bit of hiccups in the connection where you have to just manually connect. The FPV was nice and clear all the way, surpassing the range of the control of the quadcopter, the controller range. Flight times, basically really quick on the flight times. So with the FPV on and streaming it to the phone, it was 7 minutes and 30 seconds until the low battery lights would blink, and then another maybe 10 to 15 seconds max before it would just drop and do a forced landing. The motor failed when I was doing my cameraless flight test, timing test, but kind of following suit with some of the other crafts. Usually when you take off the FPV camera and it takes off the weight plus the power it takes to power the camera and the FPV transmitter, you're going to save about at least 2 minutes to 3 minutes of time. So you could add another 2 to 3 minutes onto that flying. If you did get tired of the FPV, just take this off and you'll get another couple minutes of flight time. But anyway, guys, this was a review model from gearbest.com. I'll have the links in the description if you wanted to pick one of these up. And I hope this helped you out with the review and to see if you wanted to buy something like this. I still do think it's a good beginner into the FPV little quadcopter realm. Even though I had a motor failure, maybe you won't. But it is recommended with any kind of like toy quad like this. Usually where you buy it from, they do sell extra motors. Buy at least two, one counterclockwise and one clockwise motor, if not the whole set. They're usually only like $2 a piece. I'll have the links in the description. If GearBest also has those, I'll throw that link in there as well. But anyway, guys, I hope you liked the review, and please comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.